Welcome back, it's me Lou, and today we are here for another action figure unboxing and review, and I am showcasing this today, the Marvel Select Captain America. So fresh off the heels of the Disney Plus series, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, we have this very amazing representation of actor Anthony Mackie in his new Captain America gear. I just loved the show on Disney Plus. I thought it was amazing, and as soon as I saw Sam Wilson decked out as Captain America, I popped. I thought it was awesome. The costume looks great, and of course, by the time the show was over, I was very anxious for an action figure. The Marvel Legends one's months down the road, but this is available. So I like Marvel Select. I have about maybe a dozen or so in my collection. Most of them are still in the packaging, and I just have them hanging on the wall. As much as I love Marvel Legends, and I have a giant Marvel Legends collection, I'm really biased towards the Marvel Select stuff. The only reason why I haven't purchased as many as I'd like is that they kind of come out not necessarily on a regular schedule. Normally, it always coincides with a big movie, and they don't really do a wave. They'll probably just release maybe two or three figures every now and then, unless something big comes out and they release more. But for the most part, I love the figures. I think the sculpting is a lot more superior. In terms of playability, I think Marvel Legends wins hands down. I think those are a little bit more durable, especially for children use. These are great. I think these are more display pieces in my opinion, and that's not a shot against it. I think, for me anyways, I'm more about displaying them. Articulation, for me, takes a backseat to sculpting and detail. I'd rather have a good sculpted and detailed action figure than one that's really articulated. But in this case, some of the Marvel Select stuff, they're super articulated. I think they have just as much range of motion as some of the Marvel Legends stuff. So yeah, let's take a look at this figure. So right off the bat, we have Sam Wilson in his Captain America gear in this very gigantic box. So yes, this is for Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I had to find this online because my Disney store didn't have this in stock. The only Marvel Select figure they had probably 2 or 3 dozen of the comic book version of Taskmaster. And I'm assuming those came out because those were to possibly coincide with the release of the new Black Widow movie, which still has yet to be released. Yeah, so I went to my Disney store and they didn't have this, and I was kind of disappointed. So I kind of caved in. I'm just gonna get it online. So I got it online. The back of the box, the Marvel Select stuff. It's just like a lot of the Disney merchandise. The quality of the product's always kind of decent, but the package design always leaves a lot to be desired. They put a lot of work into the front. The window frames the figure great. You see all accessories. And on the one spine, you see the portrait up close of the figure. But then on the back, it's just it's very generic, very bare. You just have the figure, and then all the company logos. It'd be nice if they went that extra mile and kind of gave you maybe a brief description or bio of the character. I always appreciate that kind of stuff, and I think kids would too. For me, when growing up, I always loved getting the G.I. Joe action figures, and on the back you'd have little file cards, and it'd talk about the characters' specialties, their strengths, and their background history. So, yep. Alright, so I'm going to open this, and as I mentioned previously, I have a dozen or so of Marvel Select figures, but most of them are still in the packaging because I like to hang these on the wall. I think they're great display pieces, and I have a bunch that are actually open. But this guy I want to open, but it's kind of a hard figure to find right now. So unless my Disney store gets one anytime soon, I'd like to have two. I'd like to have one to open and one to keep on display. So in the meantime, I'm actually going to open this and try to preserve the box as much as possible. And prior to filming this video, I kind of took a X-Acto knife and I kind of examined where on this box I could cut a slice to the upper bubble and try to pull the inner tray out. I have a friend, he collects G.I. Joes, and he likes to keep the figures on card, but he also likes to take them out to play with them. So what he does is he'll take the G.I. Joe and he'll actually cut a hole at the bottom of the bubble, and so it's not very noticeable, and you can slide the tray out. So I'm kind of taking the approach with this. So this is a very large bubble on the card, and the card, it's huge, and it folds over to create the spine and then this title card in front. And the title card's held by double-sided tape. So what I did is I carefully pulled this off, exposing this side of the bubble. And here you see all this gross double-sided tape. I tried peeling it off, but it's like industrial strength and doesn't really come off that well. Maybe if I use some Goo Gone or WD-40, I could take it off later, but that's not a big concern because it's going to be covered anyways when I put this back on. So until I get another one of these, you know, for retail, I'm not going to pay more than retail for this. If I can find this at the Disney store again, I'll get another one, and that will go on the wall, and I'll just trash this box altogether. But in the meantime, this is going to be the display piece. So I took a X-Acto, cut along here, and I can raise this up enough. And all right, so this is the catalog. And I think I could pull this out without ripping the bubble off the card completely. Yeah, okay, cool. So as you can see, success. I didn't wreck the card all that much outside of this ruining this side of the bubble, but it's okay because it's going to be covered. So I can still display this on the wall with all my other Marvel selects. Alright, let's take a look at the catalog real quick. So the Marvel Select stuff, it's mostly available at, you'll find them at like comic book shops and other specialty stores like FYE and the Disney stores. And if I remember correctly, I think, alright, so these are Diamond Select toys, and these come out under the Marvel Select label. And if I know my history correctly in regards to that company, Marvel Select and Diamond Select, they were previously the Toy Studio Art Asylum. And Art Asylum produced some beautiful stuff in the late 90s and early 2000s. I think one of the things that really caught people's attention, they handled Star Trek for a while. So when the new Star Trek show Enterprise came out, they did the toys for that. They did the action figures for Star Trek Nemesis, and I believe some of the other Star Trek lines that Diamond Select released, like the original series action figures. They did some of the spaceships. And I want to say, I think at some point in time, Diamond Select either bought them out or brought them into the studio, and you know, they're now just known as Diamond Select. And I could be wrong on that, but if my memory serves me correctly, I think that was the case. So see, these are some of the Diamond Select toys that you might find like at your comic book shop or at a Disney store. This is the MCU Taskmaster. I haven't seen him yet. This is the one for the new Widow movie. Here's a Fantastic Four Thing. I got that. This thing is a beast. It's like a giant, it's like the size of like 3 bricks put together. It's almost like a cinder block. And I love when Marvel Select makes these giant figs like the Thing, Abomination, and any Hulk figure. They're just massive. It's like holding a baby. They're just gigantic. Here's Captain Marvel from the movie. This is her in her green core outfit. There's Sandman. I really regret that I passed up on the Sandman. I think I have the Marvel Legends one. I think it's been a while, but I remember I wanted this one anyways because I thought it looked better than the Marvel Legends figure. There's the Hulkbuster. I'm kind of lukewarm on this design of the Hulkbuster, but I kind of want that figure. There's Psylocke. The Marvel Select X-Men stuff's always awesome because they always give you a piece of this base so you can like assemble all the bases together and make the Danger Room. There's Immortal Hulk. Spectacular Spider-Man. These are both comic book inspired ones. And Mighty Thor, also comic book inspired. On the back we have Carnage. We have Endgame Thanos. This figure is amazing. I have this hanging on my wall. I haven't opened them yet. Just it's the same case as this Captain America figure. If I could find another one of these to open, I'll get it, because it's a really beautiful figure. It's hard for me to find, and I just don't want to ruin the one I do have. There's Endgame Hulk. I have this. It's all right. I'm not a big fan of this version of the Hulk, and is like, I don't know, I hate this outfit. And this is a Taskmaster that my Disney store has too many of. This is more comic based. It looks great. I might actually get this, but I need a companion piece for it. And if I had like maybe a Captain America or something to go alongside it, I probably would, but I don't. So yeah, the Marvel Select stuff's awesome. They're very I mean, if you're talking about premium action figures, you know, these are very premium action figures. I think that, for me, anyways, in my opinion, I think they're on a higher level than the Marvel Legends stuff. It's very debatable though in some circles. I appreciate the sculpting more on these and the paint application, but I think for the most part, you're probably gonna get more bang for your buck with the Marvel Legends stuff, just because the line's so much larger and the back catalog of figures. You could easily complete like an entire team of Avengers or an entire team of X-Men. Whereas if you got into this line, it just takes a while for them to release stuff. But it's great product nonetheless. Alright, so main event time. Okay, here is Sam Wilson, formerly known as Falcon. And he's here in his Captain America outfit. So I'm going to really remove most of these accessories, except I'm going to leave the hands in here. I have no reason to take a look at it. Same with Red Wing. I don't think I need to take Red Wing out. So I'm going to do my best not to wreck this, because I really just want to keep this on card for now until I get a figure that... This will be the figure I'll toss around and play with once I get a nice minty carded one, but in the meantime I just want to preserve this package the best as possible. I'm excited about the Marvel Legends one, but to be honest, I wasn't too impressed with the photos I saw of it. Ideally, if I had the money and resources, I'd probably go for, like, you know, more expensive toys like the Hot Toys and Sideshow stuff, but I don't have the space or room for it, and I already have all these other 6-inch lines of action figures. Alright, I think I could cut some of these off. I don't care about these plastic thingies. That is if they want to get cut. They're kind of being stubborn. Alright, so like I said, my videos aren't necessarily the most well thought out or well planned. They're very spur of the moment, random kind of videos. I don't really have a script or outline. I don't plan these out, so I probably would have been better off doing this earlier. I'm sure you don't want to sit here for like 5 minutes watching me try to pry this figure out of here because my scissors are too dull. Alright. He's almost freed from his plastic prison. Alright, we got him. Okay, so here we are. Alright, so first impressions right off the bat. Very, very stoked. You know, the wow factor is high on this guy. The sculpting's beautiful. He feels like all the other Marvel Select figures I've had before. The plastic is nice and hard. it's nice and hard. Sculpting's good. The joints are nice and tight. Now this is where I probably give the edge to Marvel Legends. Like I've never had a Marvel Select figure break on me. but the fear of it breaking is high. Just because I don't know, I'm not it doesn't feel as playable, if that makes sense. Like with the Marvel Legends stuff, I mean, I've run into quality control issues with a lot of Marvel Legends figures, but for the most part, if I'm moving a figure around, I'm never fearful of breaking like a joint or a peg or anything like that. But for some reason with the Marvel Select stuff, I just kind of am just a little bit. Just because, not that they feel brittle, but when you handle this kind of plastic, there's something about it where it feels like this is not meant to be played with at all. It's meant to be posed. And I think there's a difference. There's a difference between posing a figure and playing with a figure. And this figure feels like it's meant to be posed and not played with. Which I like. I appreciate that because I'm more about displaying stuff. So he has a lot of cuts and articulation, but the range of movement is kind of limited. Like he has his torso here is 2 parts, his chest, and then it cuts here right above his abs. And there's some rotation. And a very, very minor ab crunch. He has some rotation. He has some waist swivel, and it's kind of hidden by the belt, which is nice. But again, it's like I said, even though the articulation is there, the range of movement isn't very far. You can force it a little, but then it kind of breaks the illusion. So for me, these are more about display pieces. They're not necessarily play pieces. I think they look beautiful, the Marvel Select stuff, for figure photography, but you're not going to get the same kind of poses that you can get with the Marvel Legends. But at the same time, Marvel Legends, the cuts and articulation, they're a lot more pronounced. So these are, Marvel Legends stuff, they look more like toys, where these, they do a better job of this hiding stuff. But that's not the case for every figure. For this one, it just kind of works because of his uniform. So he has double jointed knees, ankles, rocker. I mean, what do you come to expect? You got unplug his hands. I kind of wish they gave you a second head. It'd be nice to have a different portrait other than the really stoic looking face. I'd love one where, he has more expression. I'm not sure if in this new costume if he actually ever takes the goggles off, because it'd be nice to actually see his eyes. And I think that'd be asking a little bit too much if they gave you the full face and if the goggles were transparent and went over it. I think that'd be much more of a premium figure, but that definitely add to the price of it. All right, so here's his wings, and okay, so give me a second. I'm gonna take a look at the box real quick. I'm not sure if there's instructions on how to install the wings. Alright, so I couldn't find any documentation on what to do with the wings. But I'm looking at the wings here, or at least the backpack. And it looks like it's 2 pieces. And I'm not sure if I'm supposed to pull this off. Because the wings here have 2 pegs on them. But if we look at this, it doesn't really show you what to do with them. So I don't really know where I'm supposed to plug these in. It might be something obvious, and maybe I'm just missing it. Does his backpack come off? Oh, okay, so his backpack comes off. Alright, so his backpack comes off. Alright, but that still doesn't answer what do I do with the wings, okay. Yeah, I don't know what to do with his wings. That's crazy. Part of me thinks, alright, so his backpack looks like it's made of 2 pieces. I'm not sure if it's... Oh, okay, yeah, so you pried apart. Oh, okay. So the backpack, here's the back of it. And if you look along, there's a seam along the side of it. And it's actually 2 pieces. You pull this part off. And you can set that aside. And if you look, there's, these slots here. And you can take the wings So you have a large peg and a small peg. You just line it up and plug it in. If it'll cooperate with you. It's a tight. All right, so I think this is more so of a tight fit. Okay, it's kind of a tight fit. All right, so like I said, these figures are definitely more of display pieces. They're meant to be posed, not played with. And I'm having difficulty the holes are very snug, so this isn't gonna plug in easily. All right, I can only get the large peg plugged in because the smaller hole is a little too tight. I think if you heated this up, you know, put it in a little bit of boiling water for a couple of seconds, it'd loosen up enough and you could plug these in properly. Oh, this isn't going well. Right, so, all right, as much as I love the sculpt of the figure, in terms of getting these wings on, it's a pain in the butt. All right, let's just play pretend, okay? Let's pretend I did this successfully, right? So, all right, I plug this in. And get his back on. So yeah, wow, that looks cool. So yeah, this looks great. It's a beautiful figure. And as much as I love this sculpt, this is where I'm conflicted. Okay, so as premium as the action figure feels, the accessories feel very generic. It's thought out well, but the execution's bad. Like if I can't plug this in right off the bat without modifying it, that's just bad toy design. The holes are being stubborn. They're not. The smaller peg, it doesn't want to plug into the hole there. The larger one will, but it's not snug enough to keep it in. So you have one hole that's loose fitting, and you have one hole that's too tight and won't fit at all. But when you assemble the figure, it looks great like this. Now I know some of you are probably wondering, okay, so could you kind of like mix this into your Marvel Legends line, until the Marvel Legends fig comes out. And I have a couple of Marvel Legends figures here to compare them to. Alright, so this is the Falcon figure from, I believe it was a 2-pack that came with Bucky for Endgame. And let's remove the wings for a second. So as I stated earlier, the Marvel Select stuff is just larger. They're not 6-inch scale figures. They lean more towards on the taller 7-inch size. The plastic quality is different, so I think that's why you get these sharper, deep cuts with the sculpting. So that's Marvel Legends, Sam Wilson, and here's the Marvel Select one. If you want to compare them with Bucky. This is, I believe, from the 2-pack also that came with this guy. Here he is with Bucky. This is a much taller figure. Here he is with Cap. Again, a much taller figure. You could kind of fake this in your toy line if you have them flying. Like if you have one of those display stands where you could clip the figure around the waist and make them look like they're flying. You could just have them flying in the back, and I don't think anyone's going to know any better. Except for you, and you'll have to live with that. Yeah, so the figure is beautiful, and we didn't take a look at his shield. His shield is nice. It's very unfortunate that they didn't provide you with the ability to, so here's his backpack, and he has the straps here for his shield, so he can easily just hold his shield. But one thing that kind of sucks is that there's no way of plugging it into his back, and that's like a big deal for Captain America figures. You got to be able to do that. I want to say maybe at least 85 to 90% of all Cap figures allow you to, in some way, plug the shield onto his back. Like, for example, here's the shield from Civil Warrior, and they give you the wrist clasp, and they give you the peg, so you can peg it into the back. And there's no peg here. Okay, so his paint's kind of flaking off too, which is kind of pissing me off. All right, so I love this figure a lot. The sculpting's beautiful. You know, the detail's great. Some of the execution's poor. I'll admit that right off the bat. The execution of the wings could have been done a million times better. But in terms of the figure by itself, it's beautiful. I'd rate this figure, just on a sculpt alone, a 9. The articulation isn't... It has the articulation, but the range of motions, that's the part that's where it gets tricky. Like, he has everything that should twist and turn does, but the amount of twists and turns is very limited. And the plastic quality, like, he has bicep swivel, but I've played around with enough figures to know when a joint is stuck. And the bicep swivel, it feels stuck. It might be a question of the paint sticking to each other, or it's an issue with the plastic. So, I mean, there's ways of loosening stuck joints. You know, I like my method for fixing stuck joints is I like to submerge a figure in like hot with boiling water for a little bit to soften the plastic, and I'll lightly try twisting it. But while I twist it, I'll try pushing it in to break, so to kind of like loosen the peg in the slot it's in. And if that doesn't work, I'll resort to freezing a figure, and it'll harden the plastic and allow me to actually twist it. And some people, like, for example, I bought a Taskmaster figure for the new Widow movie, and the joints were stuck. And then I'm part of a Facebook group, you know, that shares like issues with like quality control of Marvel figures. And then I kind of showed, you know, the joint was stuck. I tried boiling it, it wouldn't work. I tried freezing it, it wouldn't work. And at that point, I'm like, I'll just try moving it and see what happens. And it broke. So then I posted it online, and people went, I don't know what it is. These are only toys. And people were like freaking out, like, why'd you freeze an action figure? You know, don't you know it's going to make the plastic brittle and break? All right, for one, I've been collecting toys for like 30 years, and freezing action figures to loosen joints is actually a tried and true method. So it just kind of like weirded me out that these people got all hostile and toxic. And what made things even crazier is that 10 minutes later, I managed to fix the figure better than new by using parts from another action figure. And it's like they were still they couldn't look past the fact that I actually fixed the figure and I knew what I was doing. But the fact that I froze the figure, it's like they couldn't forgive me for that for some reason. And it kind of turned me off from the collecting community, because I'm like, dude, some people are so hateful over like minor things. It's not even your figure that broke. And then when I took the figure apart, I didn't even break it because it was a manufacturing defect. The peg was like stuck when they pressed the figure together. So it was going to break either way. So I don't understand that. But enough about that. It's just, I think that's just one of the things that turns me off about the fandom, is that these are just toys, and you get people that are really adamant about stuff, and then they just get hostile. And I'm like, I don't know where that negativity comes from, because we're just talking about these little toys and models and stuff. So I'm running off a huge tangent here. It just brought back a flood of weird memories, because I'm like trying to loosen this figure joint, and it's not necessarily stuck, but I know that if I twist it, there's a chance with this kind of plastic. Not that it's going to break, because I don't know that, but I'm just going to err on the side of caution for now until I can figure it out. Like some plastics like this, you can feel the joint. The plastics are separated. It moves smoothly. You're not going to break it, but there's some plastics, when you move stuff around, it feels kind of rubbery, and if it feels stuck, you know that you could risk ripping it, which I don't want to do here. But as I mentioned before many times, this is a figure that's meant to be posed, not played with. And since we're on the subject of Sam Wilson dressed up as Captain America, I have some other Sam Wilson Captain America figures with me. First off, we have this guy. We have Little Brother here. This is the Marvel 3 3/4 figure. This came out years ago. I wonder if it's dated. No, I can't find a date stamp on the figure. So prior to the Marvel Legends stuff, no, I mean Marvel Legends has actually been around for a while. Toy Biz had it way back in the day. And then when Hasbro got the license, they released Marvel Legends stuff. But one line of action figures that Hasbro made were the 3 3/4 figures. And for a while, these were like the hotness. Everyone wanted these because it was a big deal that we got Marvel action figures that were to scale, kinda to scale with G.I. Joes, even though they're 3 3/4. If you stood them next to a G.I. Joe, they look a little off. For example, here's a G.I. Joe Flint action figure. And this is 3 3/4. Or I'm not sure if G.I. Joe and Star Wars figs, they're people always call them this 3 3/4 figures. And I'm not sure if that means they're true 1/18 scale. But as you can see, even though they were smaller and people thought, oh man, they're scale with G.I. Joes, they kind of weren't. But G.I. Joe scale kind of varies. Like the original figures are a certain height. And it seems like every line they released down throughout the last like 40 years, they always get a little bit bigger. So this might fall more in line with the more recent 3 3/4 G.I. Joes, which actually I do have one here. So this is another Flint action figure, and if you notice a theme here, I have 2 Flint action figures because I have a G.I. Joe classified figure, and I'm going to review that. It's been soon. So this is a kind of weird evolution of the 3 3/4 action figures. Here's one of the more older style G.I. Joe, and then here's one from the Retaliation movie, a little bit more modern tech. And this figure kind of came out around the same time, I believe, as this guy. So they're a little bit closer in height. So yeah, these figures were really special when they came out. People were just really excited about getting small Marvel superhero action figures. I think one of the reasons why is that when stuff like that comes out, there's an excitement because there'll be a consistency, and the thought is that the line will endure and you'll get a lot of figures out of it, which was the case for many years. Hasbro stuck to the smaller size superheroes, but the Marvel Legends stuff really took over, and you know, people, they just love these. These aren't going away anytime soon. You know, these figures, I think the success of the Marvel Legends really inspired and motivated Hasbro to push the Star Wars Black Series and even the new G.I. Joe Classifieds. So yeah, we have Little Bro here. He's cool. He just, for some reason, he didn't come with wings. I think he just came with a shield. So this was another Sam Wilson dressed as Cap. All right. So this is a Disney Store action figure, and I'm bringing out another Disney Store action figure, and this is the one that wins it all. This is the Toy Box Sam Wilson Captain America. And I just filmed that video yesterday, so go back and watch it. I love this figure. Everything that this figure does wrong, this figure does right. The backpack is awesome. You can mount the wings. They come with these really cool pegs, and then they plug in nice and snug into the backpack. The wings fold, which is amazing. The shield, they give you both options. They give you the classic clasp that they can wrap around the wrist. They give you the peg that you can plug into the fist, and the peg can even plug into the backpack. So, yeah. And this guy has range of motion. He's articulated. The only thing that might turn you off is that it is very stylized. The Disney Toy Box stuff, very stylized, very cartoon proportions. But if you can look beyond that, you're getting yourself a very beautiful action figure. So, this guy is awesome. I like him a lot. My only complaint is that the peg on his backpack isn't very long, so it doesn't fit in as snugly as it should. because this does get a little bit heavy. But it's a beautiful action figure. Yeah, so we have 3 versions of Sam Wilson as Captain America. They're all very cool. Whoops, let's put this right here. All right, this is gonna be the thumbnail of the video. Okay. Yeah, so I like this figure a lot. I paid too much for him. I'll tell you that right now. I had to resort finding him on eBay, and I was anxious and I wanted him now, so I paid a little bit too much for him. We'll leave it at that. Am I happy I bought him? Sure, it's great. I'm just so disappointed with the wings. The execution with the wings could have been done a lot better. It really breaks my heart that for as beautiful as a sculpt this figure is, that the wings come up really, really short. You know, this is a premium product. I mean, it's not on the same level as like buying a Sideshow or a Hot Toy. But there's a certain level of quality you expect when you drop some money down on an action figure. I mean, granted, these are just toys, but, you know, they know their market. These are aimed at collectors. And collectors could be very, rightfully so, demanding of what they expect of their toys, especially if you're paying a little bit more for it. Like a Marvel Legends figure here, this is like 19 bucks. Something like this could run you anywhere between $30 to $40, you know. But it's cool. For me, it's well worth it. I enjoyed the show a lot. And it's nice to have some actual like plastic physical representation of this Captain America. So once again, let's wrap this up. My name is Lou. I enjoy the fact that you give up a little bit of your time during the day to like check these videos out. As I've stated before, I know I'm not necessarily the best reviewer when it comes to these things. I'm too lazy to edit my videos. I don't have an outline. I kind of just run off the cuff with these. But I like sharing them. It gives me a chance to kind of like, you know, play with my toys and share my thoughts and relive some memories. So I hope you enjoyed yourself and you got something out of this. And I will talk to you soon. Take care.